it's a place where you understand if you say "Go Bills," you'll get an answer back, right? Go Bills. I'm right at home. And there's always next year. It's kind of our slogan for 31 years, but we're going to say it again. And also, New Yorkers don't agree on everything, and they don't all agree on our sports teams in other parts of the state, although I'm converting everybody. But, it's a very fabulously diverse place, and I've been so blessed to be someone who came from Western New York, who was proud to represent this area in Congress, but also now to be able to represent the entire state. And I'm so acutely aware of the diversity and the different places that people live and the different options they have. Some are tiny little hamlets with one stop sign, and some are just enormous metropolitan areas like New York City. But one thing we have in common is that everybody has a dream. Everybody thinks that someday they're going to be able to have a home. And it's something that, particularly here upstate, it never was that far out of reach. Maybe your grandparents had a home and your parents had a home, and the expectation was that every generation would be able to have the power, the ability to buy their own home. Yes, it's going to be a struggle. I remember scraping nickels together for my husband and I to get our first home, and it was 1,300 square feet, and we raised 2 kids in it. They were in one bedroom, we were in the other, 1 bathroom. But you know what? It was ours. It's ours, and it meant so much to us. And that tiny house now is over $1 million. I paid almost nothing for it. So it's so hard for young people today, but everybody just wants to have a stable place. And we talk about a place like Rochester, and a place like Buffalo, Rochester, upstate, had always been known for their affordability. And that was good. That meant you had the options available to you. But now we have what is called a hot market. It sounds good. It sounds really, hey, who doesn't want to be hot, right? It's great. It sounds great. I shouldn't have said that. But that's what they describe upstate New York, right? Buffalo, I think they said Buffalo is the hottest housing market in America, and we're right up here second or third in this area. So it's really something that I know the people in this room, and I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the extraordinary partners that I have in government here, because they're on this quest with me to ensure that that dream becomes a reality for all New Yorkers. And I want to start with our mayor, Malik Evans. He has been such a champion for this people of this region. I honor your public service. It is hard. We've been fighting crime together and stabilizing our communities, and an amazing partner of mine. I want to give a special round of applause to our mayor, Malik Evans. Your senator, Samara Brook, I want to thank her for all she does, and great champion for this area, a real fighter. Assembly member Sarah Clark, we've worked together for many years since your first run. We've been together, and I appreciate you stepping up and running. And of course, Jen Lunsford, who's doing such an incredible job as well. So these are your champions in Albany. These are your champions. And also, you'll be hearing from Theo Finn. Theo's a rock star in her own right, and the Greater Rochester Housing Project, because all she wakes up thinking about is how I'm going to build more housing. And I just love that spirit of public service. Let's give her a round of applause. Theo Finn. And Luis Alvarez, our regular person, who's going to talk to you about what regular people are going through. And I thank him for being here. And Bill Maley here too? I just saw you over there. Bill, stand up, our supervisor. Thank you. Bill's been working together a long, long time together, but not finding a home is a huge source of stress. Sometimes you have a lot of pressure. You might be about to change jobs, and this is what my son and daughter-in-law went through. They're about to change jobs, but you knew if you did that and then try to apply for financing, they'd say, oh, you've only been at this job a few months, so it's going to be a strike against you. So there's a lot of pressure on everybody. And what I want to be able to do is also, to our businesses that we're attracting here, we're doing really well attracting businesses to the Rochester region. It's a hot place to be. But if the businesses come and they say, well, where are people supposed to live? And if we can't offer the housing stock to their workers, they might have to find someplace else. So we think about the people who are already here, who raise their children, and those children want to live in the same neighborhood. We've got great schools, great opportunities, great quality of life. But too many times the families have had to move away when it's time for them to have a family because they don't have a home to live in. Also, it's an economic issue. We have to be able to tell businesses who are here and those who are recruiting that there is plentiful, affordable housing stock. But think also about the senior citizens. And maybe they've been blessed with the home, but they want to downsize. If there's not, a condo or an apartment or a townhouse to move to, then their options are limited. So that's what we've been tackling head on. As a governor, I took on the housing crisis, and many people said, don't go there, it's complicated. There's a reason no other governor talks about housing, but we are successful in working with our partners in the legislature over the last couple of years, really achieving something that we should be proud of. The New York Times said it's the most far-reaching, ambitious housing package in 70 years, 60 years, don't want to exaggerate, 6 years. That's pretty impressive. That's older than most of you in this room. It's a long time. But I also unveiled the plan to have over 100,000 new units built in 5 years, and we're getting there ahead of schedule. And people said that's too ambitious, it's too big, but we're really, really ahead of schedule on that as well. So we're really excited about this. But also one other thing I added to the table. A lot of communities have said, don't tell us we have to grow. Okay, you should grow on your own, but if you don't know to do this, then I'll put incentives out there. I will make it easier for you to be able to grow and help with programs and projects that can help your community, like the pro-housing agenda. If you've not heard of this, the communities that say we are pro-housing, we will step up and pass a resolution. I was on a town board for 14 years. We did resolutions all the time. You write the resolution, you get it passed. And what that says is that we have the ambition to build more housing. This is really important. And so the communities that are doing it are having eligible for $650 million of everything from downtown revitalization to special grants for water and sewer to Main Street programs, Main Street grant. All that's available for the communities that say we're going to build more housing. And we've added another $100 million to that. We're also adding money for people to be able to afford that first home. We're going to have $100 million for new starter homes for purchasing and then provide that down payment for first-time home buyers. That could really make a difference for someone. And I'm going to have a new housing ombudsman because a lot of developers say it just takes too long, it's too frustrating. And I'm going to have a person dedicated to making that a lot easier. But here's the truth. No matter what we're doing, we're in competition with a powerful, powerful force. Our parents and grandparents didn't have to bid against private equity firms when they're buying their first home. That wasn't happening. And these huge, greedy conglomerates are gobbling up the housing stock. And they're trying to increase their portfolios and bring in more money, and they're building up a lot more vacation homes and rentals. And think about a young family that's scraping together everything they've got, and you'll hear about this from Lewis. Every dime you have and everything you're dedicated to, and you're trying to get out there and you're going and making offer after offer after offer, and you keep losing because there's somebody else who's not from your community, who doesn't understand our values, our way of life, who comes in to make a buck and they plop down a cash offer. You can't compete with that. And it's so sad, it's tragic when you think about it. And they're milking it. And this is a real threat that they're saying that by 2030, 40% of the homes will be owned by private equity firms. That's shocking. And they're not always investing in them either. I mean, they're getting run down. So we have to fight this. And they're also engaging sometimes in illegal income discrimination practices. And the local news is talking about it. And they're violating codes. They're wreaking havoc. But I want to do something about it. We can complain all we want. But when I hear there's a problem, I want a solution. So I work with my team. And in this year's budget, I announced this. I said, what we're going to do is say, private equity companies, you can have your chance, but you're going to wait 75 days. You're going to give the rest of the people, the real people, not the corporations, a chance to bid over 75 days, make their offers first. So you can get in line. You may end up getting a home, buying it, but I don't want any more hardworking individuals or moms or dads or anybody who wants this dream to become reality to have to lose out to you. And that's how we're going to stop it. So these homes we built, these homes are being built. We're going to build more housing. That's great. But I want to make sure that people have a chance to get in that market and be able to bid on it. So I'm grateful to, again, our elected officials who will support this. You're with me, right? Okay, good. I got You heard it there. My entire budget's been supported by the front row. Grateful for that, but also, this is a fight. They're not going to like this. They have a lot of money to fight us back, but I'm not afraid of this. You're not afraid of this either, are you? We're going to stand up and fight for our families, our individuals, and our seniors, because this is a fight worth taking on. So I thank all of you for being part of this. We're ready for it, and let's make sure that this policy gets over the finish line. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate your support for this. And also, let me bring up our mayor, Malik Evans.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you all for being here. It is always an honor to have our governor here in Rochester, New York, Monroe County, a fearless champion for us in the city of Rochester. As I often tell people, my first official business day in the city of Rochester as mayor, the governor was here in Rochester, and I will never, ever forget that because of the support that she has given me over my last 3 years and almost 3 months in office, but who's counting? She understands our region. She understands our needs, and she can identify a problem, but work to give us a solution. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary, and this governor understands that we have to work hard if we are going to have success, particularly as it relates to the area of housing. I also want to give a shout out to all the elected officials that are here, of course, our great state delegation and our great county team from our folks from the Monroe County Legislature that are here. This plan is absolutely critical and right on time and aligns with everything that we have been trying to do in Rochester. I just want to point out 2 elements that are completely important. I love video games. If you go to the Strong Museum Hall of Fame, they got the Pac-Man game there. Anybody remembers Pac-Man? Well, what we have in our country, and the governor mentioned this, is a Pac-Man approach in which we have individuals that are actually not individuals, but private equity companies that want to be like Pac-Man. Although this is not a game, it is people's lives. And what they are doing is gobbling up properties in a way that puts regular, everyday people at a disadvantage. And what we are saying, so let's just be clear, we are all for the free market. I'm sure I speak for the governor, she is, and so am I. But what we are not for are those that are being handicapped and put at a disadvantage to put them further away from the American dream. And Governor Hochul's proposal of requiring a 75-day waiting period for institutional investors to make an offer on 1 or 2 family homes gives those an opportunity to at least be able to get on the playing field. Now, you may not win the game, because I know, as a young person that has gotten in bidding wars, when you're trying to buy a home, I understand it quite well. But how can you even bid if you don't even get the opportunity to get on the field? If you don't even get the opportunity to raise your voice or make an offer because you have someone with billions of dollars coming in and taking off inventory that is on the market? Why is this a problem? This is also a problem because many of these individuals, they don't live here. And I'm not saying that I don't want you to invest in Rochester if you don't live here. But what I am saying is that we have, because I run zoning, I run code compliance, many of these individuals will buy up these properties and they fall into disrepair, where if Mrs. Jones from Smith Street would have bought the property, she could have put it to its useful life. So I really hope that this will also work to deny institutional investors the ability to utilize the tax deduction on interest depreciation and other expenses associated with property ownership. But more importantly, that 75-day waiting period is absolutely critical. I also want to say that I am thrilled for the governor's proposal of the $50 million Starter Home Innovational Fund for starter home construction. The house that you move in is not the house that you might die in. And sometimes you just need to get started. I know. I was a guy, I said, I'm never having kids. I said, I'll get married, but I'm never having kids. 2 later, all these gray hair and thinning hairline, I needed a bigger house. But that starter house I had helped launch me into that bigger house that I would get. But how can you even move and launch into that bigger house if you don't even have the opportunity to start? Because your legs are cut out from under you. Because you may not have the opportunity. This $50 million starter fund will give individuals the opportunity to do that. And I always say that first-time homebuyers are like individuals that might go to college. They may not want to go, but they should at least have the opportunity. And the the fund to support first-time homebuyers with down payments and property tax incentives for low to moderate income homebuyers to receive assistance is absolutely also critical for the governor to see this come through. And she mentioned that she was ambitious, and boy is she. To build 100 affordable homes in 5 years is an ambitious thing to take on. But we should applaud her for that. Because moving slow, moving incrementally, has not gotten us where we need to be in order to improve housing across our state. And she has my complete support to be able to do that, and we are going to help her by doing that in Rochester. This fits with our Buy the Block program that we have in Rochester. It fits with what you're going to hear from Theo Finn. So I want to say to the governor, thank you for taking on housing. Thank you for not running. I know it's hard. It is easier to just take on something more simple, something that might not be easy to do. But she said, no, I'm going to take on something that might get people a little upset, that might push people to make them feel a little uncomfortable. But when you're pushing for the right things, you have to stand up and make it work. And that is what our governor is doing. And I believe that her program that she put forth will work for all New Yorkers. And I believe that it will be a model for the rest of the country. And with that, I want to bring up now someone who probably gets tired of us bugging her at the city of Rochester, but almost all of our most ambitious projects, when we have a gap, when we can't figure out how to do something, I'm thinking about Maine and Clinton, I'm thinking about our Buy the Block program, I call Theo Finn from the Greater Rochester Housing Partnership, who has been an amazing partner, and I believe that she is another piece of this puzzle that the governor talks about as she talks about making sure that we build housing that will last for everyone. So Theo Finn, thank you for your partnership. Please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Evans. You all know I'm Theo Finn with the Greater Rochester Housing Partnership and the Rochester Housing Development Fund Corporation. I'm really honored to be here today at this important event with the governor and the mayor. So for more than 30 years, our organizations have advanced affordable homeownership opportunities in the city and in Monroe County. And our focus is on both financing and directly developing high-quality homes for purchase at affordable prices, specifically targeted at first-time homebuyers who meet certain income qualifications. And through our efforts in partnership with the state and the city and the county and a lot of nonprofits and a lot of private organizations, we are proud to say that we've directly financed and developed over 900 homes over the years. And these have empowered first-time homebuyers to build stable foundations and secure their futures through homeownership. As we've heard, and you all know, in recent years, the housing market in our region has undergone significant shifts. And these changes have posed new challenges for homebuyers themselves, as well as for mission-driven organizations like ours. Characteristics of this new housing market include that inventory is at an all-time low, the costs of homes have escalated at staggering prices, and recent data shared by the GRAR, and Jim Yockel is here today from the Greater Rochester Association of Realtors, has shown a particular decline in the number of homes available to low and moderate income home buyers, those homes under $200,000. And that's the space that we work in. For homes that are available, the dynamics are that of an auction market where there are bidding wars, and home buyers are facing intense competition from investors. So one way that our organization supports the supply side of this equation, and it's something that we've been doing for many years, is that we acquire vacant, dilapidated homes and we rehab them to a very high standard, and then we sell them to first-time home buyers at a set price. And we have been increasingly pushed to the private market to find these opportunities in recent years. And so one of the things that I am sharing today is our experience as a purchaser on the private market through our realtor partners, the Garcia team that's here today. The homes that we try to purchase are typically homes that have been neglected. They require extensive repairs, and they are far from ready to be moved in by first-time homebuyers. So we're not directly competing with the folks that we serve. And we have looked at the data of the homes that we've competed for over the past 24 months, and we have attempted to make offers on 40 homes over the past 2 years. And in spite of our efforts, there were many homes we weren't even able to submit a bid on. They were gone before we could put our bid in. We have shown that a large percentage of the properties that we looked at did go to investors, and often at prices far above listing. And in some cases, the winning bids were double the listing price. On one property, we don't have this information on all of the properties, but on one property we vied for, there were a staggering 62 offers, which is a lot. We have been successful in acquiring 7 homes through a lot of effort, a lot of vetting, and 2 of them were specifically sold to us because the sellers appreciated our mission, that we were going to turn them over for owner occupancy. And that's wonderful. Otherwise, we'd have 5. So in short, addressing the lack of opportunity in our housing market requires a multifaceted approach. It requires smart policies like the ones that are being spoken of today. It requires supply-side interventions like building new homes and trying to turn over existing housing stock to quality home ownership. And creating a more equitable playing field for those who deserve a chance at home ownership, including empowering those folks to compete with investors, is essential. So I want to thank you, Governor Hochul, for your forward-thinking and proactive and bold initiatives in the affordable housing space. These efforts are vital to ensuring that the hardworking residents in our community who are working hard through that homebuyer process, it's not easy, can purchase their own homes, can secure their financial futures, and then also contribute to the revitalization of our neighborhoods. So thank you. And with that, I would like to introduce Luis Alvarez, who is a home buyer, not through one of our programs, but purchased a home on the open market, and he's going to share his story. So.
Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. It's much appreciated. I'm Luis Alvarez, regular guy. So it's an honor to be here to share my story with you all, to give you all a glimpse of what home buying looks like in 2024, right? So my process actually started back in 2020, 2021, when I started looking at the housing market. At that time, that's when we started seeing the housing get to the crazy elevations where we're seeing now, right? You'd have houses that are on the market for X price, and now they're going for $20,000, $30,000 over asking price. So while I did look and put in a few bids at that time, I decided to step away for a while and try and come back when, that inevitable crash would happen, right? That we are all waiting for in a sense. So fast forward to summer of 2024. That's when I started looking again a lot more heavily, and I was actually ready to pull the trigger at this time. Again, I went into this knowing that I was going to have to put down $50,000 over asking price in most cases, and that's really what it became. Every house that I was looking at, and these were not houses, by the way, that were like 3-4 bedrooms, multi-stories, like anything crazy like that. These were very simple 1,000 to 1,200 square foot houses. A lot of them didn't even have a basement, 1-2 bedrooms, nothing crazy at all. Again, these were houses that were listed at $150,000 and going for $200,000 in a lot of cases. The house that I had ended up with was on the market for $160,000, and I put an offer in for $190,000, $30,000 over asking price, and I was still beaten out by someone who offered $45,000 over asking price for a total bid of $205,000. Now, things fell through with that individual, and he was not able to continue with the purchase of the house. So I was fortunate enough to get a call and say that I had the opportunity to buy that house. But had that not happened, I would still be looking for a house today. I closed on that house in December, close to Christmas. It's February, almost March. I'm very confident I would still be looking for a house right now if that did not happen. So I'm very blessed that Governor Hochul is looking after us, looking after the regular guy such as myself, and trying to put policies into place to prevent things like this from happening and getting back to a time where not so long ago, these houses were not being sold at such a ridiculous market value. You know, the house that I ended up getting in at $180,000, fun fact, 2017, that same house was sold for $90,000. Stark increase. So again, thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you, Mayor Evans, Theodore. I appreciate everyone for your time today. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program for today. Thank you for attending. Have a great weekend.